It's the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 13, and it reads, "But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." I'm going to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to Kol Loyim La Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rachah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aquath out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, which appear like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth to you. Say Shalom. It's the brother Yahweh coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. This lesson is inspired through the Spirit. I was watching this video with Joe Rogan. I'm going to play it in a second, but it just made me think about something because it's deep, I'm going to play it, So I'm going to say fair use, fair use. I'm not profiting off of this. I'm just, going to basically speak on an observation. So, fair use.
Did you ever see the video where he gets interviewed by this woman and she's asking him whether or not he's going to do Black Panther 2? And he goes, I'm dead. He goes, well, I'm dead, so I can't. And she goes, no, we're not ready for you to be dead, Chadwick. I am. I'm dead. Wow. Because he had cancer and he knew he was dying. Like he was real thin at the time, and he hadn't announced it to anybody. He was like smiling when he said it. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
You gotta give respect to those people that don't tell you they're dying.
I'm dead. Did you ever see the video where
I'm gonna play it one more time.
He gets interviewed by this woman and she's asking him whether or not he's going to do Black Panther 2? And he goes, I'm dead. He goes, well, I'm dead, so I can't. And she goes, no, we're not ready for you to be dead, Chadwick. I am. I'm dead. Wow. Because he had cancer and he knew he was dying. Like he was real thin at the time, and he hadn't announced it to anybody. He was like smiling when he said it. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
You gotta give respect to those people that don't tell you they're dying.
I'm dead. Did you ever see the
So
video
the point,
where he
the observation I got out of that, because that was a strong person. This man literally was dying, but he still, like, I think he was diagnosed with the cancer during the first Black Panther. I think they said they knew he was dying for years. He, of course, because he was a busy man, so he got a team of people around him, and I think they all knew. I forgot. You have to look into it, but pretty much he had been diagnosed with it, but he was still working, and it's deep because he could sit up there and smile. Put it like this: he was able to still do his work, and he was just like pretty much seeking a corruptible crown. How much more so those that's in this truth that are the hopeful elect, and that's the mindset you got to have. You know what I mean? Like to pain of death. You got to be pushing, and in the spirit of pushing this truth and prophesying the downfall of this place known as Babylon the Great, aka America. I'm gonna get this word in the book of
Strong's G 4982. Sozo.
So that's the word for endure in Matthew chapter 24, verse 13. And it reads to save, keep safe and sound, to rescue from danger or destruction. One from injury or peril, to save a suffering one from perishing, one suffering from disease, to make well, heal, restore to health, to preserve one who is in danger of destruction, to save or rescue. So ultimately, to deliver from the penalties of the messianic judgment. Which ultimately that messianic judgment is going to be those ICBMs pelting this place, and turning this place into a lake of fire. But, to be saved, it's, again, we were saved from, the world, but when the Lord woke us up from, pretty much, because we were dead, we were those dry bones. So when the Lord gave you this truth, that to a degree saved you, or gave you the opportunity to be spiritually saved, because, the scriptures talk about the wages of sin is pretty much as death, and this place is pretty much it's engulfed in sin. The scriptures tell you about in the book of Job chapter 9 verse 24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. That's why in what Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, it talks about, the Lord going to give this place over to a profitable one, roughly paraphrased, which is Yahweh Shai Mashiach, and being that the world is going to be ran through, the law, statutes, commandments, that's what's going to make this place a righteous place. So ultimately, being saved is to be saved from, this the impending doom of this place being destroyed by thermonuclear fire. If you are of the elect, the Lord is going to save you out of a multitude of things. And, you got Jacob's trouble being brewing. It's brewing. I did a video about it. Brothers doing videos. They talking about, that things are getting worse. You see the mindset of these people. I did a video about the mayor of Cleveland. He said, don't expect the federal government to help. To save us, rather. I think it was worded to save us. Or, which prompted me to do a video about, like, the only one that can save is Yahweh Shai Mashiach. But it just made me think about a few different scriptures, because at the end of the day, this truth, this walk is not an easy thing, And like I said again, that man, if you didn't know that story, you wouldn't have known how powerful that is. So how much more so of a mindset we that have been blessed with this glorious knowledge, this beloved truth, supposed to endure, and fight. This is a fight. And trust me, we all go through our spiritual highs and lows. Can you imagine that? That's what the scriptures talk about. Matter of fact, I'm going to get this. This book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 2 and verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, prepare thy soul for temptation, meaning those different trials and tribulations. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in the time of trouble. Because we supposed to, don't run away from it. The scriptures talk about, endure hardening. Scriptures talking about basically being chastised. Verse 3, cleave unto him. Unto who? The Lord. Because the Lord is testing us. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at the last end. It's like at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a low state. And that's easier said than done, but at the same time, these scriptures are in here for a reason. The elder was recently talking about, he said, you're supposed to be hated. That's a good thing if you, in the right spirit, because this is all scriptural. Eventually persecution is going to come. That's a good thing. Because if you're being persecuted for basically standing against wickedness, then, that means that you precious in the sight and the eyes of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Scriptures tell you that the Lord's eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, roughly paraphrased. Verse 5, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. And then what's that, Isaiah? A man of the Lord is going to be more precious than fine gold, than the finest gold of Ophir. Verse 6, believe in him and he will help thee, order thy ways aright, and trust in him. Ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy, and go not aside lest ye fall. That's that straight gate, a path of difficulty. And we all, this truth is our passage to manhood, for real. That's how I look at it. I sent the brother a video because it's a guy, I think his channel's called Grim Hustle. They try to make it seem like he was a gangster or whatnot. But you got to remember, a lot of these like YouTube channels, these people are actors, you know what I mean? Like, that's the new thing. That's why I find it funny because, like I said, the job the Lord blessed me with, you could tell these fucking crackers would never have let Jake off into this. It's only like two. It's some Issacharites and, Ephraim. But, again, it's not very many. But the thing is, like you could tell these people, like they're making really good money. But now because the economy's so bad, they feel some kind of way. And, they're not getting the numbers that they used to get because, Esau don't want to work for real, but on top of it, you got different ways of making money. Like their biggest policy is don't be on your phone. Because the young Edomite dude, he was trying to explain to me, he feel, that pretty much, because people be doing trading and they're making decent money, And then he told me how much money his girl making from having a YouTube channel. So what make you think, what make you think that these people don't want to do this? Like I said, these people don't want to work. And then, like I said, and they all crying about, like I said, the economy and they need more money. Now the thing is, this is the most money I've ever made. So sometimes it's better, less is better. A lot of the people fall into the trap of Babylon the Great because it's like Monopoly. You want to buy every fucking thing. Sometimes you got to sacrifice. Fuck them new shoes. You know what I'm saying? Now don't get me wrong. I mean, that's your money. Do what you want with it. But at the same time, you could tell like that all go back to discipline and patience. You know what I mean? Like the fuck. Jake used to be surprised at me because I'll walk around. You wouldn't know what I had. You know what I mean? I might bring out a pair of new shoes. You know what I mean? Like Jake don't know but that's what we used to do when I was growing up. Because you can never figure out how much money I might have. That's not to brag on it. It's just, I'm just saying, like, I mean, like, I remember the elder brother did that video. He was reading the comments and he said, "Toughen up, Buttercup," and we all about to either toughen up or you gonna crash out. The fuck. It was certain things I used to see. It's certain you can't just read the scripture and you gotta apply the scripture. Change happens within. The development of good habits happens before. Not just, oh yeah, you gotta apply yourself with certain things, Verse 9, ye that fear the Lord hope for good. So like in verse 8, ye that fear the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh shall believe in him, and your reward shall not fail. Ye that fear the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh shall hope for good and for everlasting joy and mercy. And that's the elect, That's what we can, put aside and give up this world, the pleasures of this world, our old lives in this world. We're ready to forsake all for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh. Because, again, this is the most money I've ever made. But then, when you do math, if you get an extra $1 on your paycheck, it's really only like an extra $20 a week to your check. So an extra $2 is, when I did the math of it, this is the most I've ever made. But it's only like an extra $100. With at a time of record high inflation. And you want me to trust in this shit? Maybe somebody else will, Now don't get me wrong, while I'm here, I'm gonna do the things that, that will benefit me in this fucked up ass life. But no, I ain't got no other I don't have a retirement plan here except for with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh. I'm not trying to worry about no 401k, you know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like that. My 401k is with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh. Verse 10. Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? For the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh is full of compassion and mercy, long suffering, and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins and saveth in time of affliction. So that's where we looking to see our salvation from, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh. It's the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16. So again, it made me think, because I was like, well, damn, man, this man, it was a manly thing for him to keep, those emotions and what he going through within, That's what they're saying. They say real killers move in silence and whatnot. Like that's a manly trait when a man, and a lot of men, that was an old school trait, like for real. Like my dad, I remember Jake said his coach, I think his boxing coach, or I can't remember what coach it was. He was like, he old school tough. And I had to smile because I understood what he meant. That's why the scripture talking about generations waxing worse. These men ain't built like they would. I remember my demon was telling me a story about her granddad, and I believe the story. Her granddad was also a Mason though, but I believe the story that she told me, and like I said, because it sounded like some shit that Jay could do, you know. So this is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 16. So no matter what the Lord put before you, you know, you got to hold on to this truth, because the Lord testing and trying you, see how much, how you know, like how He tried Abraham with Isaac. He gave him what he wanted, and then tested him and said, "Well, let's see what you." So don't be surprised when the Lord tests you. That's all I'm saying. That's why, again, when my situation happened, I didn't realize that it happened like that. But it was a huge test. You know what I mean? Then what you like Jake said, sit up there and said, "Oh, yeah, that's kind of feminine," or how he said he talking about me. Well, if you feel some kind of way about me, you don't respect me in that kind of way. Then what makes me think like the fuck is he talking about? What are you talking about? I don't care and really give a fuck about your respect. It's you know, you can respect me enough when you want something from me, but you don't respect me any other time. Huh? Get the fuck out of here, man. I mean, wish you the best. May the Lord be with you. How about that? Go with the force. Second Ezra chapter 60. At the end of the day, whoever gonna endure all this, no matter what the Lord put before you, that's who you gonna know is the Lord's elect. You know. And again, hard times is coming. This is the book of Second Ezra chapter 16. Then I'm gonna start up. Verse 67. Behold, the Most High Himself is the judge. Fear Him. Leave off from your sins and forget your iniquities, to meddle no more with them forever. So shall the Most High lead you forth and deliver you from all trouble. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. You know, when this shit gets so bad, again, I did a video yesterday. The mayor say shit, the government ain't gonna save us. So just imagine by the end of the year or next year, you know. I know he also was trying to hire a lot of more police officers because they know it's gonna get bad. You know, Cleveland might be a small city, but Cleveland is a little rough city too. you know, you know, I'm not saying it is more rougher than some of the bigger cities. You know what I mean? But violence happens everywhere. It's the universal language. Um, verse 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a so pretty much when all hell breaks loose, you're gonna have you know, and then people in desperation, they're gonna, you know, the government gonna set up, you know, these places where you're gonna be able to, you know, they might, you know, like, like I ain't gonna call them shelters. I don't know exactly how it will work, but when you got that many people struggling and fucked up, it's gonna be if you ever watched The Walking Dead, it was a place where they was pretty much luring people in. They supposed to have food and whatnot. Come to find out, they was pretty much feeding people, and it looked like they had created, you know, was getting civilization going back, and people desperate was running to them, but to come to find out, like they tried to kill Rick and the rest of his group. You know what I mean? Because they found out. You know what I mean? It appeared one way, but it really was how they was sustaining their group was by feeding people to them. So that's how it's gonna be when these shit shut down. And then, you know, you're gonna have people, they're gonna create little like certain stations. That's why he was talking about the Walmarts, those big huge facilities they're gonna turn into detainment centers. And in these places, that's where they're gonna offer you food. You know, that's spiritual too, because like I said, when you watch that Walking Dead, I forgot what season, you know, they was eating people. So it says, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden under the foot. So those that's going to consent is going to actually ultimately be destroyed. Verse 70, for there shall be in every place in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. So ultimately, that's that persecution. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahshua. Yo, Jacob's trouble, you know. Well, you got individuals talking about it, ain't gonna be none. If you recanting about the sea hip, I'm sure they're gonna recant about that too. Verse 72, for they shall waste away and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. What's that? 2nd Ezra chapter 15. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire, and link up with, Isaiah. It links up with Second Ezra. Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach chapter 2, so on and so forth. So through all these things, these different trials and tribulations with the Lord, the hell, the wrath the Lord about to bring, that's how you're going to know those that endure who the Lord's chosen are. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 7. In the time of their visitation, they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble, which that's when the Lord gives his elect those spiritual powers. What's that? Isaiah chapter 59 talks about when the enemy coming in as a flood, the Lord shall lift up a standard. Verse 8, they shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and their Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, shall reign forever. Verse 9, they that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he have care for his elect. Verse 10, but the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imaginations, which have neglected the righteous and forsaken the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. So if you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of your power, whose true name in the Paleo-Hebrew is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to call Elohim like Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akbal out there listening and learning, Lord willingly. This is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Until next time, Lord willingly. Shalom, shalom. Kwam Yashar Allah. Wath Lababah.